Hello, Steve. It's good seeing you.
Tak, it's so good to see you. I miss our Armenia days.
That's correct. Yeah. So Steve and I were, for our viewers out there that did not see us, I think in my YouTube kind of shows, Steve and I were actually in Armenia together, and I've heard of the very famous Steve Mackie, and originally I thought you were Australian. Someone said you were Australian, in fact, I think. And then Steve, the other Steve, said you were Australian, I think, or Bob. And then one of the other characters, I think, that came, one of the instructors. And then yeah, we just hit it off this time. Sometimes, it kind of gets around and you need a few kind of years to get together and you just hit it off. And we hit it off this time around. And we were inseparable, I think, during the whole thing.
Yeah, we were. And the great thing about it is it was a good environment to have those to find somebody that you really connected with.
And yeah, so I think it was yeah, we were in the same hotel. We spent 6 or 7 days together. But sound feels like 6 or 7 days. We did a bunch of mentoring together. Spent a lot of time socializing, if you will, near the bar. And yeah, we just you know what it is? I think once you told me, um, I think we were on the now I remember. I think we were on the bus coming back together. I remember the first day I heard you in the back. No, there were a bunch of other people. You came in late. Not your fault. I think you arrived late, so you went on the big shuttle bus a little bit late, and then there was the London guy in front of me. So we were talking about London and living in London. Then you came in, and you sounded northern to me. So when I heard your accent, I was like, oh, 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 this guy. I judge based off of accents, and then yeah. But then on the bus back coming from the actual start of festival to the hotel, that's you sat next to me. And then we started, talking about kind of your military service, and then I told you about my military service, and I think we really hit it off. But even before then, I saw you taping the interactions or mentoring sessions with your camera, right? And with your camera phone. And then I was like, this guy's smart. So I started doing the same thing. So it's really because of that. Then I started kind of copying you, and then that was a bit of a fodder for conversation on the shuttle back. Anyway, that's my story. That's my perspective on how I met you.
I've seen you quite a few times before, and we never really connected because I don't know why. I always had somebody. Well, last year I was living in a tent, that's for sure, and I
That's right.
know that, and I know that you were having it you had a luxury side of things up in the hotel, so
No, it
it was.
wasn't. It really wasn't. It really wasn't.
But the tent was another experience, and I'm glad that I didn't have the tent this year. I'm glad. Luckily, we didn't have any rain this year. But yeah, we just hit it off, and I was lucky enough to get to know you. And the good thing about it is, it's like I still don't know exactly what you do, but I do now a bit more. But that was never the case. It was never something that we were saying, "Oh, what do you do? What's your kind of thing? What makes you tick?" It was just, well, I say what makes you tick. I know what makes us tick, and it's others, right? It's trying to help others, trying to give them the support and guidance. And I think that that's what we do best. And again, yeah, those tables when we sat down with those groups, and you only had 10 minutes with each one. That's quite tough doing 3 hour
Yeah,
stints.
it is. It is. And I think we bumped into each other. We kind of recognized each other, and I think we've seen. You said this is your fourth year, and cumulatively, it's my fourth year cumulatively as well. But I don't know. I guess we're just so busy when we're there. Um, right? We're in the mentoring sessions. It's 3 hours at a time. We're just so tired. At the end of it, we just want to go home and eat and go to sleep. Um, there's actually it takes a while to get to know people in fact because even some of our organizers, our Armenian organizers, I didn't really get to know some of them until this year. Like Aaron, right? The learning guy. I didn't really have a conversation with him until
Yeah.
this year. In fact, I don't know about you.
No, no, no. You
Our
saw
side,
my
sorry,
little
our side.
thing. My little thing was to basically I was taking pictures of people. I know
Yes,
that
yes,
this
you are.
year they really stepped it up with their social media, and they got some really good images of all the mentors at work and all the startups, and it was a good. They had a good blend, a good mix, and but what I did in the first day was just go around taking with the Steve's group and the not the Armenian group, sorry, the group from Berlin, and
Yes, the German
the
group.
group
Yes, that's
from
right.
yeah, the group from oh, what was the other one that there
The
was?
Ukrainian group, the
Ukrainian.
ladies. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So I was going around taking pictures. I think they may have thought I was a little bit spooky, but I know that it's a
Yeah,
nice little
you're
touch.
no.
So
Yes, you were quite nice about it.
you took their pictures and you said, "Oh, look, I took your picture. What do you think? I think it looks great." And it was a great kind of door opener to start talking to people. And
Yes, the icebreaker. Yes, you were very kind about that. Yes.
yeah, and there were some wonderful people that we met. And I'm still in. I know it's only been a week since we've been back, but my I've been in constant talk with her, and there's WhatsApp
Right.
messages going backwards and forwards.
Okay.
So, and
From
she's doing
from
remarkable
California.
things. Yeah. So there were
Okay.
some special people, and you get to know them because you get to know their style. You get to know um, their emotions a little bit because they put everything into what they're trying to teach others.
I
And
think so. Well, I think the environment probably also helps, right? I think that's kind of what draws me back each and every year. I love being in nature. And I think there's something unique about this venue, but also I think the Startup Seaside Summit as a whole, the concept, right, of being next to nature. Because I think when you're in nature, I mean, you're in the forces, right? When you're in nature, I think you're exposed, right? Everything is bare. You know, your fears, your passions, your concerns, and all that stuff comes out and it's all exposed. And if you get on with somebody else, I mean, it's almost as if your soul is revealed, and if you like the other person, it's almost as if because you bear everything he bear or she bared everything, and it's and there's commonalities between.
yeah, and another thing is that sometimes you could have this imposter syndrome because you're getting to meet. Look at you, for example, the things that you've achieved and what you're doing in your life in Hong Kong, especially, and around the world. It's quite incredible. And the thing with it is, you could get quite intimidated by that. Or you could kind of it would be, I suppose in the past I've always, that would have been a little bit of a struggle just to see where I could break in there, or where I could get those commonalities between us. But with us this time there was no need of it. It didn't matter what we did. It was just the case of what we wanted to do in the future. And
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It goes the other way as well. I think I didn't know who you were as well, so I'd never really approached you in the prior years. Probably as a well, I don't need to know. If I stay in my own lane, I think it's fine, type of thing. So I think I was intimidated by you slightly as well, and others, just because I didn't know anything about everybody else. But this time around, I think yeah, everybody did kind of meet everybody. But what if I'm kind of funny was like yeah, the German group, they were quite German, and then Ukrainian group. I never met that many Ukrainians, but I think they have a certain personality. The Americans have their own little personality. The Europeans kind of have their own little personality, and then we were. I don't know. I felt kind of like in between all of them and started just making fun of all these different groups.
I think
You and
we
I.
yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think the one thing that you said just now was stay in your lane. And I think that that's a really good bit of advice to everybody that's out there right now, is stay in your lane. Like, you can have these kind of moments, but ultimately you've got to get back into your lane and do what you do best. And the one thing that I would say with all those groups at the beginning, I think that everybody was really competitive.
Ah, yeah,
Whether
that's
they
right. You
would
did.
own up to it,
Right.
they wanted,
Right.
even the ones that were teaching, They wanted to do well. They wanted, which is understandably so. And I would be in exactly the same position where there would be a little bit of competitiveness in there, and ours was going to be the greatest way of doing these things. And I can understand that too. And it was a good journey to see them because by the end of the week, everybody had come together, right?
Right.
There was a
Yes.
few groups, as you said, but at the end of it, there was a good group, and I think the going to the in the minibus on a morning or getting the trip back. I think that was another good way of communicating with people and joking and laughing with people.
So for our viewers out there, actually, majority will probably be Startup Seaside Summit people anyway. But just to explain, so there were different groups. Some of those groups actually had some conflict because of things being said, but ultimately it was I think a combination of different things: misunderstanding, I think being competitive, I think being in nature. I mean, we were 2,000 meters feet,
Yeah, two
up,
thousand
right?
meters. Yeah,
And so the sun was bearing down on us all day long. We were dehydrated. We had some altitude adjustment going, and so physically it was not an easy place to be, right? So I think all that combination of things, I think, really just made it tough for people, and but ultimately conflict is good, can be good. I think if coming together, if come together properly in the end, I think it can be a good thing. And
it was
hopefully,
it,
we get to
it
see
was
all of
good
them.
fun. It was good fun, and there were some good people on the bus. There was good people. There was people from Russia, Ukraine. There was people from America. There was people from China. There was people from the UK. Yeah, we had a. I thought it was a blast. From Germany. I thought it was a real blast, and you'd go in, which you were going in earlier, and I remember because you were doing that. And what a great thing you did with the Tai Chi. So, for as
I
you
did.
said, for everybody listening, you are a Tai Chi expert.
I
You're
did.
very good at what you do, and you had 50, 60, 70 people following you on the beach on a daily basis.
It was great. It was the first time I did it. So it was the first time I did it. So normally, just for all our viewers, there's different activities for mentors like Steve and I to do, right? So we do mentoring. So it's one on one, 10 minutes for 3 hours at a time. Some of the other people actually mentors instructors actually taught for 2 or 3 hours straight. Some of us did speaking. Some of us did kind of, so generally did 50, 60 in the audience. Some of us did campfire talks. And some of us actually did all of them as well. And this time around, and I did all those in the past before, but for this time around, I felt like I want to contribute a little bit more and differently. This is something I started last year. So I actually kind of had a group. I said, let's go to the side. I'm going to teach you some martial arts. And so this time around, I said to Arson, I'd love to bring all my gear, and or some of my gear, and then I like to actually teach people because I think martial arts is really important. And so they gave me the freedom to do it, and yeah, every morning I went over at 8:30, I believe, and basically, I sat my stuff next to. They've got an 8 a.m. kind of workout crew. Everybody kind of does it, and then at 8:30 they come over to me, and we did it by the beach. And yeah, I've said to Arson, the organizer, we'll probably do it again next year as well. I think I think martial arts. I don't know if you do any martial arts, Steve, but I just think it's one of those things that it's physical fitness. But yeah, I think it's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit more kind of martial intent. It's spiritual. It's physical. It's engaging with somebody, right? Because we were actually doing two-man drills as well. So it's just, it's all types of goodness, if you will.
It was one of those big successes. You didn't know how it was going to go at the beginning of the week, but it was something that was left with people that they were talking about. They were constantly talking about, and every time they saw you, it was like, oh yeah, I had a great session this morning. Thank you so much. It was really good, and as you said, it's spiritual. It was kind of, and you were in one of the best places. We call it the beach. It wasn't actually the beach. It was the lakeside. But it
Yes.
is like a
Yes.
beach, right? It's 2,000 square meters above sea level, and you're it's just like you. It's like the sea. It is like the sea. You can't see the other side in some cases, where it's
It's
that big. I
it's
think it's the third biggest type of waterway in the world.
it
The
is.
biggest.
It is. It's one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world. I think it's probably one of the highest, if not the highest, maybe one of yeah top highest and largest. Did you go swim?
No,
Okay, it's refreshing. It is like frightfully cold. It is cold.
I'm
It's like a
sorry.
cold
We've
plunge.
we've got the Loch Ness back in we've got the Loch Ness back in Scotland, and
You
there's a
wouldn't
big
swim in it, would you?
there's a Loch Ness monster in
No, exactly.
in
That's
our loch.
right.
So
Yeah,
there was no way
you
I was
wouldn't
going
swim
in.
in Loch Ness.
There must have been something in that lake. Let me tell you, there was something big. I find it fascinating that it was such a size that some days, I think it was at the beginning of the week, the waves were quite big, and it was quite impressive.
It's yeah, I'm trying to recall. No, it was windy. You're right. It was quite windy, and right, the waves are quite big. It's cold. It's really cold, and it's got this minerally type of thing, you know. So I went in, and it just felt maybe it's algae, maybe it's minerals. I don't know, but it felt this softness, so it's really quite good on the skin. But it's refreshing. It was really really nice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Next time I would like recommend it. By the time you come in, like I was there right in the morning, so after workout we were kind of hot anyway, so we went in, and then I still had a couple hours to kill. Yes, I guess once you're in the festival, you know, you do your thing, and after that you just can't wait to get out.
Yeah, I could wait to get it. I didn't wait to get in. It was not something that I I I went with, and I kept on promising you that I was going to come to your sessions,
That's right.
but you
Nobody
were
did.
you were a couple of doors down from me, and I could hear you getting up on the morning, and I'm
Oh, did
thinking,
you?
I really
Am
do
I
want to
was
go.
that that loud? Oh, geez.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think you used to, your transport was booked for 8 o'clock. And I was like, if I pretend to be asleep long enough. But the one thing that you must have missed was breakfast. And
Yeah.
because of the, we'd go there at 10 o'clock in the morning and we didn't get back till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I think that was that you needed your, like the, so important the breakfast were and the evening meal was. Only two choices in the evening, but boy, was it good. It was home cooked Armenian food. It was wonderful.
It was harsh. I mean, I skipped breakfast. I had a couple instant coffees in the morning. I would go over there. I would have another coffee after my session. I would skip lunch because our session started at 12. And then, yeah, so by the time, and then our bus was at what, 3? So by the time I went back, I was famished. And that was not wise. Like, yeah, if there's a way to maybe pack up some of the food, because yeah, just the environment. I don't know about you. Did you put like suntan lotion? Just because it's oh right.
No,
Were you
everybody
burnt?
was offering because I had my hat on. Everybody, look at my tan. It's just I kind of my tan is being topped up. I know that I've got to be careful, but you don't get that chance to go sunbathing in Qatar.
With yes, I can imagine. Like
So this
right
was a
now,
good time.
what is in Qatar? What is it right now? Like 40s?
I think what I say it's about 45, I suppose, at the moment.
Jesus. Okay, got it.
45 can top up
Good.
as much as 50. And
Good.
when you get to the 45s, 50s, you go outside and you're tingling. Um, the
Is there a beach
humidity is
in?
very high at the moment.
Oh, so it's not only 45, but it's humid. I mean, if it were
Oh,
45 and dry, that would be another thing.
and what you've got to do is you go outside and your glasses steam instantly.
That's
So,
terrible.
but there's no better feeling because at the moment you've got the air conditioning on, it's quite cool.
Yes. Yep.
And then you go outside and you go, because all around your body is just warmth, heat. And that's quite good. Getting in the car is a little different because everything is hot from you're burning your hands literally on the steering wheel, on the gear stick, or on different parts of the seat.
Do we
Is
have one of those? Do we have one of those things that like can, start your car before you get in there and then you run the air conditioner and
You can do that. Some people, which is some people leave their car on when they go in for meetings so that it's nice and cool for when they get
okay,
out.
got it.
It's a little bit more relaxed that way. But yes, you can. You can get your car. There's some cars that you can press the button and it'll put the air conditioning on.
Yes.
So you've got those type of vehicles here. I like to yeah, it's nice and hot and it's nice to go oh.
I don't
It's
know
the
if I
moment.
missed. I used to live in Houston, Texas, and it used to be pretty steamy like that. Yeah, Hong Kong's actually no, it's pretty steamy, but it's about 31, 32. So it's humid, but it's 31, 32, so it never gets really that hot. And then yeah, I don't miss driving. That's for sure. I do not miss driving.
You don't drive anymore.
I don't have a license anymore. I mean,
You
I can
don't.
still drive technically, but yes, I don't drive. Yes, remember the Tesla we were in?
Yeah. Oh my God, was that an
You want to
experience
recount the
or what?
story?
Yeah, tell the story. I could not believe what happened in that Tesla.
Hmm. Well, let me set up the scenario. So, in fact, I talked to him, Artum. I've got him on the chat somewhere. Artum. So I met Artum, this gentleman, during before our mentoring sessions, and Artum is glasses, pretty nondescript individual, pretty funny, really funny in fact, and he does crypto, and so we bonded over just knowing kind of certain personalities in crypto, especially one that's from Hong Kong.
If I can
Um,
jump in here as well, he had a
okay.
T-shirt. He just reminded me of a
I
web
did what?
developer. That's all he, and this is where you judge a book by its cover. You just
Yeah.
had on his T-shirt web
Yeah.
something, right? So I thought, oh, just a web developer. It's like, but was he far different than just a web developer? And anyway, you carry
You
on.
don't okay, no, you don't remember actually what the teacher said. The back of the
No,
teacher said Web 3 some.
uh, okay.
So people in crypto are like Web 3 people. And so played around with the words and said Web 3 some question mark.
But he was just a little. You could see that's what he loved. And I don't like using the word, but geeky. He was a little bit
Yes.
geeky.
Again, yes, that's right. Your words, not mine. But yes, no, he was. He was. He was. Let's be honest about that. He was. And so
It's a
yeah, so
good
we
thing.
were
I don't
it's
know
a good
where I
it's a
come
good
from.
thing.
Yeah,
It's a good thing. And so yeah, we hit it off. Brilliant guy. He's like, whenever you're in Armenia, wink, wink, nod, nod. If you need anything, let me know. I know guys. I know fixers. I was like, this is the guy to know. This is the guy to know. And so Steve and I were after our mentoring sessions at 3. We were waiting by the entrance, and we were ready to take our transport back. Usually I would be the ones waiting for. I think this is actually no. This is a little bit after 3. I think we've had our break at the bar, and then so we were waiting for transport, and it's usual fashion, right? It's a bit late, and so we were like, okay, that's fine. We'll wait a little bit, and then our tomb kind of rolls up, and recognizes me, and I think with him was his wife, and then he said, "Well, what are you doing?" And we said, "We're just waiting for the transport." And he said, "Well, why don't you come with me, and why don't you ride?" Well, I think he did, ask us where we actually lived, and we said, "Oh, the Tufenkian." And he said, "Well, why don't you come with me? I'll give you a ride. I'm going the same way anyway." And so we went to his ride, and lo and behold, it was a Tesla, and it was the first Tesla that Steve had ever ridden. And so you were geeking out. You're like, "Oh, a Tesla!
yeah,
I've never
yeah.
seen a Tesla before."
It's a battery driven car. It's like what could it be? Everybody goes on about these Teslas, and I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, okay. And then you started talking about Teslas and insanity modes.
Yeah, yes, that's correct, right? And then so we were whilst you were still, I think, rather excited about the Tesla, we were kind of slowly getting out the car park, and I kind of noticed, right, like he was really really slow getting out the car park, and I knew like either he's a car fan or his tires were really performance. He just didn't want to mess with his tires. But then so we were getting out, and then I asked him to do insanity mode. right? Which is this high speed thing with Tesla. And I don't think you knew what insanity mode was.
I never had a clue. And I thought, what could a what could a car do? It
Did I tell
wasn't
you to
a
strap in? Did I tell?
Lamborghini or a Ferrari.
Yeah. Did I tell you to strap in? Or you had already
Yes, you
strapped in
did,
somehow?
but I
Okay.
didn't strap in because I sat forward a little, which was the biggest mistake.
And then so R2 actually hit the insanity button and it went zoom and you could feel it. You could feel it. I think insanity mode, and let me just Google it really quickly. Tesla insanity mode is in fact technically it is what is it? It is 0 to 60 um is 0 to 60 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. That's
It
what it
was
is, Steve, technically.
it was nothing I'd experienced in any car in my life before.
And to be honest, I've actually never driven in insanity mode either. So yeah,
It
it gave us
really
both
did.
a kick.
It pushed me back because I was sitting forward, and it did hurt my back a little bit when I went because it was just that. And I just never expected a battery car to be able to perform better than any supercar, right?
Well, I'll send you some videos. So it has like Tesla, racing a Ferrari or a Porsche or whatever it may be, a McLaren. It does by far. There's no competition like electric cars because it's just pure acceleration. Um, so it's one of those things. It's like when I don't drive an electric car, but from what I've heard, when you push the pedal, it goes and it's power. And if you take it off, it stops or not stops, but it decreases the acceleration. And then basically it's like this. You don't really need to brake. In fact,
He
is
looked up
my understanding.
and he was saying that if you went to the edge, because there was some, I won't say cliffs, but there was some kind of, it was a country road that
That's right.
had some kind of, it would have, you would have dropped. I won't say it was mountains, but there was a drop beside the side of the road. And he said the car would just take an automatic, it would automatically make sure that you didn't veer off the road. So it would
Yeah,
take
that's right. Yeah,
you
that's right.
over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, he said it's actually rather safe, and he had those tires as well, right? So so basically, I told Artem that you're shitting yourself. He'll never ride in a Tesla again. So thank you very much.
I kind of I it was an experience, that's for sure. It was an experience.
It was an experience. If I were to kind of rewind, so the whole experience, I think that was like one of the main experiences that we enjoyed. If you did it again, like the whole thing, Seven, like what do you think can be improved? What is something that we can actually take back to the organizers and say this is something, because we can actually surely send this video over to them. What is something you think that they could improve for next time? Oh, Steve, 1 second. Oh, I think your sound. Let me see. Oh,
Is
there you
that
go.
better?
Ah, yes, now we can hear you.
So I think that the improvement, they've always improved each year, but last year it was they brought in all these helpers. They just guided you around when you needed to be somewhere, a fireside chat, or whether it was a mentoring that you needed to do, or they would always be there to be able to give you that support. And I think that that was one of the things. This year, they did a lot more with photography so that they could get the photography out there to help with their social media, which always helps, right? It's kind of letting people know, and it's getting everybody at that event to use the material in some way during that week, which I thought was really important. The transportation, but that's not a real problem because nobody has any problems with transportation. And anyway, I
Hmm.
really enjoyed it. I don't know. Nothing jumps at me to say they could have improved there, or I think that yeah, I don't know. I think it was really good. I love going back there. I don't know what it is. I just think that you've got, they may be startups, but there's a lot of vulnerable people that are going
Mm,
to that place, not knowing what they're going to face, and they want to, at any cost, they want to improve what they've already started.
mm, mm,
And I think that's magical, but it's also sometimes intimidating. But that's for us to try, and everybody, especially from the mentors, from the organizers, to make them feel at ease. And I think that they do that really well. And with the groups that they do, I think that they run quite well. I'm not
mm,
sure. Less is more. I think that maybe there was too many events
mm,
where that didn't get the coverage or didn't get the people coming to it.
mm,
So
mm,
I would sometimes say less is more,
mm,
so that you can get those numbers up, so that everybody can feel good about the feeling that they're feeling. Even
mm.
the guest speakers or people that were talking about a subject. Um, Fireside chats were again, I would say, get those fireside chats when you've got so much atmosphere around the place. I
Mm,
think they're
mm.
magical too. Yeah, I don't know anything else that I would improve. What about you?
Um, I think I would actually go. I would agree with almost everything. I would disagree with. I think getting. I think getting more talks. So they had the like the. I don't know if you attended. They had like one day which was the government festival, and then they had like the wine thing. So or agritech or whatever it may be. So I do think that getting more different events um, might be interesting because then it just kind of gets people from somewhere from the city to actually come and attend. Um, and I like the fact that they had like everybody can find something that they like, right? Whether it's tech, maybe music. So I was there in the final day, and I actually stayed at the camp in the final day, and I think that camp was actually really really good because it was yeah, and the music because that music festival was just massive. It was like a proper musical festival. It was yeah, I wouldn't say like Glastonbury good, but it was like it was a good fun good night. And I think that was a good kind of ending to it all. So I think maybe making it slightly bigger, and then having a little bit more festivals. Whilst to your point, I think maybe with the activities for mentors, maybe just keeping it smaller, keeping more focused, might be better.
Yeah, because mentors, there's when you get so many mentors, it can get very
Yeah.
confusing for the startups,
Yes,
right?
that's true. Correct. Yeah,
And
that's true.
and because everybody's got a message, and if you're going around and you're seeing, I don't know, 6 or 7 mentors in a session, then and you're doing it each day, then that's where it becomes quite confusing to try to take those things on board or trying to adopt those things that they're saying, because by that time you're pretty much set in your ways, but now you've got to implement stuff that you need to see whether it's going to be worth it or not, or does it have a, a bad effect on what you've already done so far. I don't know. I think it can get confusing.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good point. How actually, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and also ask you like, so you're based out of Qatar, and I actually had a couple questions around that, because I wanted to kind of on this. I don't know if how many startups actually, whilst during the camp, they said, "Oh, I'm interested in moving to Qatar." Um, you've been in Qatar for I think a better part of what 10 years, 10, 15 years.
It's actually 17 years now. So
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I've been there quite a few years.
What do you think? Startups. Why should businesses move to Qatar? What is there that I think Qatar offers as a location? Why did you move there? And yeah, and why should kind of businesses think about Qatar?
Um, I moved here for opportunity. We had a good business back in the UK in London, where we were doing, back then it was websites. There was no AI. So we were looking at how we can improve those websites, and e-commerce was back then, and that's going back, I would say 20, 25 years ago. And so we had there was e-commerce back then. So when we were back then, I remember working on a client which was called Ronnie Scott's, which was a jazz club in London, and we put
I
their
think it was slightly
online.
more than a jazz club, was it not?
Yeah, it's kind of that it's unbelievable. It was it was it was in it was so rewarding because you got to see so many different people um, from the world of music. Um,
Yeah, no, I do remember Ronnie Scott's. Yeah, that's right.
so many people, so many. Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck was one. God rest his soul. You had Prince that would turned up one evening and done a couple of sets, or three or four. I think it was about 3 or 4 sets. He just went crazy, and he's such a
On
small
Frith
guy.
Street. On Frith Street in
On Frith
Soho.
Street. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep, yep. I passed by a couple of times.
That
Yeah.
was one of the places that I went in there and pitched them, and I wanted to what I wanted to do was I wanted to do their leaflets for free, and yeah, it was a little crazy, and they thought I was crazy, but it went on so that we built a website, an online payment platform for their tickets, and they were taking 250 unique views on a daily basis. And we went in there, were given 3 weeks. Luckily, I found this guy that was a genius when it came to development. And we put online ticket sales in place. And within 8 months, we were taking 1.8 million. And we took it from 250 unique visitors up to 2,500 visitors on a daily basis. And ticket sales were just through the roof. And we would, and optimization, pay-per-click back then, PPC, was huge for us because whatever artist was coming, we would just tap into that base. So every £1,000 we were spending, we were getting £30,000 worth of ticket sales. So it was a booming one, and that was another good story because I told them to do pay per click and they said no, and I said okay, so I'll do pay per click and I'll pay for it myself. You give me a percentage of the ticket sales. So I got more money than from a commission perspective than I did for them paying me for the £1,000 that I was spending and our services, because you were only probably putting a 15% markup on that. So it worked out better that they did turn me down to do pay-per-click until I said, right, I'm going to do it. And it was a huge success. So those were the things that we did with Ronnie Scott. So that's what we were doing back then. And opportunity. I was a young man that just wanted to be successful, and I wanted to take the world on. My friend came over because he was in close protection. So I come over. I was always not bad at speaking and pitching and understanding what the 2030 vision was and how to adopt that. So I came over, but we fell over maybe 3-4 times when it was kind of tough back then. But you always had the opportunity or the belief that things could change overnight. And that's what you've got in Qatar, is as long as you've got a good work ethic, as long as you've got something that is Gucci, the Gucci effect, as I call it, it's got something that's a little different. And it's got the opportunity of traction and scaling and all those type of things. So you've got different opportunities here. You've got 4 jurisdictions that some of those jurisdictions are tax-free, corporate tax-free, employment. You don't pay any tax on employment on your salaries. So financially it's a great place to be. And again, as I said, there's 4 or 5 jurisdictions. I say, and why I'm saying there's 4 or 5. You've got Media City, which is another one of those areas that is a jurisdiction, but it's only just begun. So it's not like one of the established ones, but you've got many different opportunities that could fit your model. And once you've got that, the quality of life is just okay. It's a little bit hot, but I've got air conditioning for that. But you've got such a vibrant ecosystem here that maybe can be a little frustrating because it can change on a daily basis, but
Mm.
only for the good. Because if something isn't working, they'll change it overnight, and that really does have benefits. Like when I first came here, 51% was going to be with a Qatari partner, and 49% was going to be for the foreign ownership. So
Mm.
the Qatari was always in he had the most shares because he had to be the
Makes
responsible
sense.
one.
I think
And
Bahrain is about the same as well. They've got
yeah,
that type of scheme.
but now, if you look at it now, that's virtually a thing of the past. There are certain tech industries that are quite sensitive. So you do need that responsible Qatari to be in there. I say responsible Qatari. I don't want to seem like but they're responsible. They're the ones. It's their country. They're the ones to make sure that they're doing something for the country and developing it, and it's their responsibility so that something doesn't happen. And sometimes, when people do face hardships, they'll probably do a runner. So these guys
Mm.
that take all the responsibility on, and whatever is their debts or whatever the responsibility is theirs to work it out. So that used to be in the old days. It's still there a little bit now with certain industries, as I said, but mostly it's all covered by 100% foreign ownership. So there are wonderful areas to get into. Technology-wise, is growing quite considerably. I won't say it's up in the same areas as Dubai, but it's maybe a little bit behind. But they want to take things slower. They want to learn from other people in the region and how they're adopting these industries. Cryptocurrencies is not here yet. It's because they want to take it slow. They want to make sure that they get those things right. Blockchain is becoming popular here, or it's coming into things now. But things that just take a little time to adopt. And I'll tell you why, because there's very little crime here. So and
Mm.
I mean very little crime here, minimal in the point something percent. So it's quite incredible. But every action has a reaction, right? So you're constantly thinking what I'm going to do or change or implement or bring something new that's going to have an adverse effect, maybe, possibly, with the cultural side of things, with the way that things work, letting the wrong people in, or just kind of shifting those scales in a negative way. So that's the one, and that's a positive side, because what they do is they really consider these things, and yeah. So the startup ecosystem from a technology perspective is booming. It's a small marketplace, but it's a great marketplace to build from and to grow your business. That there will be financial implications there, because it's not so. There are some overheads that you're going to have to face, so you're going to have a little bit of money in your pocket. Again, there are initiatives that's being started with the Qatar Science and Technology Park, for one, Cubic. QDB are phenomenal in the way that they're trying to create and build this ecosystem. They're trying to help Qataris now expand into different parts around the world. And sometimes, in saying that, sometimes it's really great to have a Qatari partner, because there are some benefits and networks that they've got, and understanding about their country and people they know within there. It makes a real difference when you are trying to not so much bootstrap a company, because if they like it, they'll invest in these areas too. So it's like raising finances and a partner that's going to be playing a role within that company, and be able to get you to a whole different stage than you would have tried for years to get. So there are real benefits,
Yeah.
and it's the opportunity is there, but the opportunity is all around the world. But this
Sure.
this has a good opportunity. You've just got to be very resilient, and your
Mm.
work ethic has got to be better than everybody else, because it's one of the richest countries in the world. And one of the things that you've got to take into account is the competition is rife. It's like,
Mm.
you better be good at what you do, because you're going to get some pretty established businesses come to Qatar, and it's probably going to put you in the shadows. So you've got to keep on constantly, if you want to succeed, you've got to constantly reinvent yourself. I won't say reinvent yourself, but you better work hard to get yourself noticed. And that's like everywhere.
Actually, so two questions. Some people, choose Dubai, Bahrain. So I would assume like most people that think about Qatar probably think about, I want to go to the Middle East first, and I want to raise financing. I want to base myself there, whether it's a time zone thing or something else. How would you compare, let's say, Qatar to a Bahrain to a Dubai to a Saudi? Because I hear a lot of hype about Saudi now. I hear a lot of hype. I mean, I think back then it was Bahrain, Dubai. Now it's more Saudi. And then my second question is, on finding a Qatari partner, is it because if you find a Qatari partner, it's easier to raise financing? Is it just that they know something about the country? And how does one like find a good partner? Yeah, Qatari partner.
I think that going to the first one, I think the ones that stand, there's three. Let's talk about those countries. You've got Dubai. Dubai is just booming from a business front and also from a tourism perspective.
Right.
So they really have got they're quite a few years in front. Again, I don't want to say in front but let's face it, they are. So there's a few things, and the levels of the risk. I don't think that you've got people they're risk adverse here in
Mm,
Qatar.
mm,
So, and because they're still learning their trade,
mm, mm,
investors are still learning their trade. So
mm,
this is the type of thing that's growing here. But I think that Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I think they're a little bit, not a little bit. I think they're quite well in front, um, and they have some opportunities, but it's very saturated. It's a big. They I don't want to say that because I don't want to talk negative about it, but there's kind of it's a tough area to go into also because again it's competitive. You've got all the companies wanting to go to there or here or some in Saudi, but it's a tough area to get started established. But there are some opportunities that are existing and they're looking into different marketplaces. I think they're looking into cryptocurrency if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong. So there are things that are moving forward quite nicely in Dubai. Oman, and I will talk about Oman right now, is that they've got a wonderful country. The people are fantastic, and there are some different opportunities. I don't think they've got the type of wealth from an oil and gas perspective. But they've got their own things that they're going forward nicely, and it's a beautiful country. It's a
mm,
wonderful country, wonderful place to live. And that's where quality of life is so much more important there. You've got Saudi Arabia, which probably is creating all that noise right now, and so it
mm,
should, because there's so many different big opportunities that are out there within that country. It's just that you've kind of it's quite expensive to. It's a little more expensive than setting up here. There are
mm,
some kind of some difficulties when setting those establishments up and finding potentially the right people with the right network to get those jobs. I know that people have gone there from virtually zero events. For example, I met a lady there that set up an events company, and she's in Saudi Arabian riyals. She was doing something like 50 million
mm,
in
mm,
trade,
mm,
and she started from something very small. So there are different opportunities. It's just that you it doesn't come overnight unless somebody spots you because of your social media, because of the traction that you're getting in other countries, and they feel that you've got a really good opportunity of knowledge sharing. So that knowledge and experience that you've got in other parts around the world, you're just primed to come to one of these countries. And if you're going to bring value, then they're
mm,
going to be quite excited about you and the opportunity you bring to that country. And I
mm,
think those are the advantages that you've got. But Saudi Arabia is changing and for the better.
mm,
And lots of different opportunities. What you've got to do is just got to make the effort. You've got to shake hands to as many people as you possibly can and build those relationships. But try to find people that has got the same kind of desires, same kind of ambitions that you've got within that specific field. I think that's so important
mm,
because you want them to be engaged. You want them to be a real good partner in your business, and they
mm,
get what you do. So
mm,
when they've got the opportunity to sell you, they understand completely your services. And I think that's for the whole Gulf. I think you've really got to look at those strengths that you've got,
Mm.
and you've got to get that message out there. You've got to let people know that
Mm.
you're around. You've got if you've
Mm.
got if you've got desire to move into this region, find somebody that can help you, but also make sure that you've done your market research to make sure that you've got a product or you've got a solution for that problem, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think it's all there, but you need to have to make sure that you've got your money in your pocket in the beginning, because that's where it's gonna don't let the lack of money be a distraction, because you can't afford
How
distractions.
to that point, I mean, how much is rent? Let's say studio. Yeah, what's the cost of living in Qatar?
I suppose you can be looking at anywhere from, it depends on the standard that you're living, and
Okay,
there's all
sure.
walks of life. So you could be looking at from, I don't know, from 4,000 Qatari riyals per month for living accommodation to
Okay,
50, 60, 70,000 per month, depending on the level of establishment, whether you want a villa, whether you want 5 bedrooms, whether you want actual just pure luxury. So
so
it
that's
starts
a
from there.
thousand US dollars. 4,000. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking for an office, because in any business, and depending on the jurisdiction that you're going into, if you're in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, then you're looking at rents for your office because you need an office. You're looking at rents of around, I would say, the minimum type of rent that you're looking for a basic office is about 3,500 per month.
Okay, so about eight 900 US.
Yeah, so that's another fee that you're having to look out with your staff again. And some companies, they'll put staff in wages, their salary, and they'll also include accommodation for them. Sometimes it's a shared accommodation
Mm,
with other members of the team. But there are ways to keep those overheads down. But it's yeah, you've got to just make sure that you take into consideration your renewals, your company renewals on a yearly basis. So those are the things, but the biggest thing is just making sure that you hustle. I say hustle, just kind of get your name out there in the first instance, and if you have a desire to move into these areas, start working on your social media now.
mm, mm, mm. And then how about the connectivity in Qatar? Is it, with Dubai, it's it's super easy to fly in and out with Emirates. I think Qatar is Qatar Airways. I mean, but generally is that kind of is connectivity not an issue in that region or in
Not
that
an
city?
issue. It really
Okay.
isn't an issue. They pride themselves on they do pride themselves on their airways, and so they should. They don't see, they're expanding a daily basis. They really are, and they just want to get better and better at what they do.
Okay. And
So
so Armenia was how many hours for you?
if you fly there direct, 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
It's okay.
But
And
but
then
look, I think
London
it's
was 4 or 5 hours.
yeah, I think it's about 6 hours to get to. I'm not sure. I can't remember. That says how long I've been back in the UK. Um, but the biggest thing with it is, I think with a 6 hour, 8 hour flight, you've got 2 billion people that markets that you can tap into. Africa is a big one because
Hmm.
you've got it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, right? The airway they're flying into most major cities, so you've got that. You've got the whole of the Middle East region. You've got, as we spoke about, Armenia. You've got Georgia. You've got different areas. Uzbekistan is becoming more and more popular. So you've got so many different areas that you could possibly you could open up your doors to.
Interesting.
And again, it's so close. So logistically, Qatar is one of the best ones, and because of their airways, it's you've got to consider it, and sometimes you've got to consider the free zone. So again, the free zone is one of those that 80% of your business is outside of Qatar, but you get 20 years corporate tax free. So these are
I
the areas.
see.
There's some criteria that you have to reach, but as long as you've got no unfair advantage to the local marketplace. If you've got, you can tap into 20% of your business in the local marketplace as long as 80% was outside. So there's many different advantages that you could receive, and it really is that from a tax perspective, just a tax perspective. But what you've got, the quality of life is great, and the difference between everyone else, it seems like I probably am selling Qatar more, is that I can be anywhere if I want. If I've got anywhere in Doha, which is probably the biggest area in Qatar, that's where all the business is. I would say 80% of the business is done in Doha. I can be anywhere in Doha within 20, 30 minutes. And that is totally different than the other country, Dubai or with Saudi Arabia, where depending on the time of day is going to take you that same
of course, yes,
trip.
the infamous Dubai traffic, yes.
So these are the advantages. These are the disadvantages. I don't think there's any. I think all of them has got their advantages, but I think that there's some that's quite specific for people that's going to find it just really. The schooling here is great.
I was going to say, yeah, okay. So there's enough kind of local schools, international schools.
Yeah,
good selection. Okay.
There's all of those things. The medical side of things, they keep growing. They've got a wonderful healthcare here. I literally had a hernia operation, and because I've got the card, the whole operation with the theatre, with everything, was and with the medicine afterwards was 170 reals.
That's it?
That's it. It's incredible. It's just incredible.
Hold on. 107 real to USD. That is 45. No, sorry. This is.
It's about 40, 45 dollars
for a hernia operation.
I could show you the scar. No, I won't.
On camera.
Well, yeah, it's phenomenal.
But this is so. It's an NHS style system.
I would say ish, but it's nowhere. You can't. There's no comparison. I love my country.
NHS is really right.
I love my country. I love what they do, and I love what they do for an enormous amount of people. Yes. So take those things into consideration. But I also like the kind of things here too. They are.
But it's $45. No insurance.
No insurance, because I've been a resident here for so long. I've got we call it the Hamid card. So you just renew it on a basis. There's some things that you have to wait for. There's a waiting list like everything else. But it's beautiful here. It really is. It's
and then
beautiful.
I'm looking at the international Qatar International School is a British school. Right, is that the main international school?
King's College. You've got King's College. You've got all the universities. Qatar University. You've got the American ones: Carnegie Mellon, Great Western, VCU.
Best British school in Doha, King's College.
King's College. Yeah, you've got the King's College. Look, you've got some wonderful schools here. You've got the American school. You've got really a good wide choice, and it just gets better and better. You've constantly. There was a new one that I love. The university. It's called Oryx University. They've just been given the status as a university. They've joined up with John Moore University in the UK, but that's a wonderful university that really does give you. They're a family.
Okay, putting this in.
They're a family. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So there's a lot of kings and British kind of. So was Qatar an English protectorate?
Yeah, yes, it was. It was, and the National Day. Yes, they were. And there's a good relationship between the two. There's always been a good relationship. And then you've got the British Council, which I will say about at the moment, because I think, again, they do the IELTS exams. They look after all those. And there's a special relationship with Qatar and the UK, a special relationship. So that's always something. We interviewed 84 84 stakeholders that play a role or play a part. They've done partnerships with the British Council. It really is something special there. But we are lucky. The French is also look. Qatar is very independent. They like everybody that's going to come and put some skin in the game, that's going to give something to the community, that's going to add something. So I think it's so important that you do come here and you've got a role to play. It's not what your country could do for you; it's what you can do for your country. And I think that's something that you can benefit from here.
Interesting. In fact, I don't think we have a British consul in Hong Kong. We've got the embassy and all that, but I don't think British consul is strictly trade, right?
No, British Council was an education side of things. So they came here they came to Qatar in 72.
Okay.
The British Council has been 90 years in the making, and they're doing some incredible things with companies all over. And it's not so much a trade; it's just making sure that they can unlock the potential. And especially if somebody's doing something really good, when it comes to a cultural side of things, when it comes to
That's
music,
right,
when
the
it
cultural
comes
stuff.
to fashion,
Right.
when it comes to artists, where it comes just where they can see where they've got those connections, that they can add some value. I
I
won't say
remember because
fixers.
yeah, but
Sorry.
they did a lot of arts and culture stuff in the UK
Oh,
as well.
100%.
Yeah, because my wife's an artist, a ceramics artist. So I remember there were big supporters, some or events. I forget what it was.
They work with organizations like Turquoise Mountain,
Okay.
where this Turquoise Mountain is something special, where they're working in the likes of Myanmar and Afghanistan. And what they're doing is they're trying to encourage those those um, those trades that's
Mm.
been in those countries for hundreds of years that may be dying out. So pottery, weaving.
Yes. Yep.
So
Yep.
they actively encourage people to do those things so that then they can sell these products around the world. So these are the types of organizations that they get associated with. Another one, and I'm probably going to say something wrong now, but education for all, above all, education above all. It's a
Very good.
Qatari non-profit where they're literally educating millions of children around the world. They're giving education. So these are all the things that is happening here, which they're unsung heroes, because the kind of things that is being done here is just phenomenal. While they're helping others, and they're big mediators at the moment around the globe. Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Okay.
just unbelievable. You look at all these things. Um, I'm just taken back by it all. Because we're the same type of people. We want to help others. We want to make a difference. And some of these organizations, individuals, are just mind blowing. And sometimes you see all the bad press, right, that's out there.
Yes, of
But
course.
you look at
Regional
these
stuff.
type of things, and this is what we should be celebrating. These are the areas that we should be celebrating like crazy, because there are some phenomenal things that is being done out there, and we need to be championing those people. We need to be getting that message out there like we're doing today.
Now, you also mentioned something about a residency card. How hard or easy is it to get residency in Qatar?
It's always a company that's going to sponsor you. So you're whether you go under somebody else's sponsorship, a company, um, then that company will sponsor you to be in the country. So what you'll do is you'll go through a procedure where you'll go for a medical test, where they'll do a chest X-ray, take some blood. So you'll go for a very minor health test, and then you go to the police department. You get your fingerprints done and an eye test done, your scanning of your eyesight, and then what you do is you get an electronic ID card, which you've got to renew. It depends on, you can renew it on a yearly basis, or you can do it every 2 or 3 years. As you get more longer here, it allows you to do it for several years. So these are the types of Yeah, that's an ID card. That's a card that you'll always have to carry it with you, and you'll be asked to show it at some stages. But yeah, it's a very simple process.
And but could you set up your own company and then sponsor yourself? Do entrepreneurs do that as
Yeah,
well?
without a shadow of a doubt. So what you would do first is you would come and set your company up, and once that company was set up, you would then put yourself onto
Mm,
that sponsorship.
mm. And then, but once that's all set up, then I guess. But it makes sense. You're there to establish a business, to grow the community, right? And so as a, I don't want to say it's a gesture of good faith, but I guess yeah. Then the country kind of helps support you, and you get medical free. How does residency work? You get free medical and
You've got to pay for
schooling.
you've got to pay for your medical side of things. I think that there's a thing that's coming in at the moment. I know that something's going to be implemented where everybody's going to have some type of insurance going forward. At the moment, I've got my Hamid card, and what I do is I've got diabetes, for example, and with that card, I can go and get that at a discounted rate.
Mm, 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 mm.
So
Schooling is that is a part of residency benefits?
schooling is that you're going to have to pay for the schooling side of things, and again, those fees vary to the different colleges, the different universities. So these are the things that you'll have to take into consideration. But again, going back is the market research. I always say, don't make judgments on emotion. Make sure that you've got yourself in a position where you've done enough market research, and you've kind of, with that market research, you've made the right decisions.
That's actually a really good point. So if someone were to investigate, let's say the Middle East, there's a lot of hype, Dubai, Saudi. What should someone from Hong Kong do? Should they kind of go spend, let's say, a week, 2 weeks in the Middle East region, let's say a couple of days in Dubai, a couple of days in Bahrain, a couple of days in Qatar, and just to get a feel of the region?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that it's always of benefit if you can find somebody like us that can guide you, so that you could make some meetings for yourselves, or you could do that yourself. You can obviously you can reach out to some people and say, look, I'm going to be here. Can I have a meeting with you, or coffee, or something along those lines? Then that's going to be your biggest advantage. But I would say take a nice trip. Go to each one. Don't put pressure on yourself, but make sure you've got some meetings prepared, so that it gives you some ideas. Reach out to these organizations in those countries. Try to find out as much information about them. Go to different, and I know this sounds, but go to different Facebook groups, or
Mm,
or try and dig a little bit deeper, and then try to, or just ring people up and ask them. Sometimes look at the type of companies that you're not going into, obviously, direct competition with, but ring up some companies that you like the look of, and see what their feelings are. See if there's any chance that you can talk to somebody. Everybody's quite open here. Everybody, as long as you offer your hand of friendship, then I've never been. Everybody's taken that hand, right? So just do as much information. Talk to your local embassy. Listen
mm,
to what they say.
mm,
Read what they've got on their website. Yeah, look at Doha News, or look at kind of where you can get information before you come. Look at what the best places that you want to come to
mm.
what's going to be beneficial to you, and then try to tap into somebody, or somebody that you know that has relationships within this country, so that you can then, somebody could show you around a little, give you a little bit of a tour. So those are the things that I would say. Don't jump in with both feet. Don't
Mm.
overnight say that that's where I'm going. Just make sure that you understand the culture. For example, the different visions that you've got. This in Qatar, it's the 2030 vision. Look at what they're trying to work towards before 2030, and see how you could fit into it. See how you could support that vision. Those are the things that you should be considering.
And then the all important bank account. All businessmen, women want to figure out what's the easiest. And is it easy? Is it hard to get a business account as well?
Again,
Bank
as I
account.
said, as I said to you before, things are changing quite rapidly. So, for example, when startups used to come to Qatar, and they set their business up, because you've got different things like Web Summit, and I would definitely suggest that you come to the
That's
next one in
right.
February.
That's right. That's right. There is one
It's
every year.
and you'll have just wonderful offers where they're encouraging people to come here and set businesses up. So one of the biggest problems that you had was, you were rightly so, was the bank account.
Mm.
But they've really, long as you've got all the paperwork in place, and all the regulatory documentation, it should be a straightforward process. And before, the problem that you had is that you had a situation where you would have to come up with, I don't know, 10,000, 50,000. It wasn't 10,000, sorry. It was always 50 to 100,000. It was as much in the early days, is that you had to put a deposit in of 250,000 Qatari riyals. For micro businesses right now in Qatar, you can go to commercial bank and they won't charge you any, as long as you keep a balance of 5,000 in the bank account, they're not going to charge you anything, for that first part where you need to make a deposit. Before it was 50, now it's completely, it's, you don't have to put that deposit in. So it's becoming more and more friendly to encourage more investors come into Qatar.
Mm. And then the major, any of the banks are fine, right? It's all, there's probably
Yeah,
two or three major players.
I think the two major players, that I always seem to go with our clients, is QNB, Qatar National Bank, and CBQ, Commercial Bank Qatar. Those are the two, areas. You've got other banks as well, but I find that those two are going to give you everything that you need, and they've got coverage. Both of those bankers got coverage around, the world in some places. QNB
Really?
is more,
Okay.
but yeah, yeah, good one.
And then, so you kind of QMB, and then when you travel, ATM money, um,
Easy,
it's
no
easy.
problem.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
all on your phone now. It's like everything is contactless, right? You just click you press the button twice, you authorize your face, and you pay for it. It's as simple as that.
It is pretty easy with technology. But for technology people like me, the internet is absolutely critical. Is 5G, is it pretty much everywhere and most apps work or almost all apps work?
Yeah, there's some WhatsApp. WhatsApp is not allowed in Qatar. There are
Okay.
obviously ways to get
I
around
think
that.
Dubai is the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So there are some restrictions, but not many, to be quite honest with you. I think, again, cryptocurrency, that you're not going to be able to operate that from Qatar. So there are limitations on that front, but no, I think that Qatar is embracing
Mm,
companies. AI, for example, is just a hot topic. It's
mm,
just really kind of something that everybody wants to embrace. It's just, unfortunately, people are not embracing it as much as they're just waiting, right? They're just looking at what's happening and what's the best options and how to best tackle all of this stuff. But yeah, knowledge sharing is the key one, right? And if you've got something to add in your business, I would definitely, and you can bring this up, I would definitely, if you've got something to add to the economy or something, is Invest Qatar. I would definitely visit their website. They're
mm.
the
We'll do that.
they really are something. I really like them. I think that they're great to get in contact with. So, and you can get more information from them. They're willing to give. They've done so many different reports that could be beneficial to you. So yeah, so yeah, there's lots of information out there. And technology wise, from your side, oh my word, if you've got something of value, um, if you've got something of value, then they definitely want to see how they can adopt it.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that's right. I think Web Summit has been there for 2, 3 years. I
2 years,
recall 2 years.
2 years now. This is going to be the third one. They've got it for
The
five
first one was
years.
there were a lot of rain. I think the first one. I think that was the big issue, wasn't it?
The big one, I don't remember the rain. What I do remember is they weren't ready for the volume.
Really?
I think that there was a lot of queuing.
Yes,
But
I
like
heard.
but like everything in Qatar, you may have the problems the first year, but the second year they really did. This year, I don't think I didn't see any problems. And I was there virtually every single day. It was,
Okay.
and we did the speed networking. We always do the speed networking on the first night. So it's just a great. It really does bring so much energy, and seeing so many different people come to talk about different subjects is such knowledge sharing.
And then
And
was
you
it
meet different people.
primarily people from the region or like mix 80% people from the region, 20% out?
I would say that the majority, I think a lot more people are coming here, but I think the majority is from people, the local side of things, expats and locals. But I think more and more people are coming to the country because of it. And it's going to get, I think it's going to just keep on growing. And they go into multiple venues now. So they don't just do it all in one venue. They've
I
got
see.
different areas that they go to and different evenings that they celebrate. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually made it a not a point, but I was a lot of friends I actually had gone, and let's see, where are they from? I think one is from Riyadh, a couple from Dubai, and then come February, I see a lot of social media pictures, people going, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably go at some point, because it is the biggest event I think in that region. I'm trying to think. Neom, does Saudi have something?
The Saudi has Leap.
Leap, that's the one. That's around the same time, isn't it?
It's Leap is it's just the bigger site. It's just huge. Um, it's just huge. But logistics is a little bit kind of they struggle with it's a little bit out, and the traffic is
And
struggle
that might
sometimes.
have been the rain. I think that's the one that had lots of rain.
Yeah, Qatar one didn't have the rain. I did
Okay.
not for the times that I've had. But Leap is huge, and what goes on at Leap is mind blowing. Also,
Is
um,
it about the same size, or is it
I
bigger?
I would say it's much bigger,
Oh, is it? Okay.
much bigger. I wouldn't. That's I'm saying that. I think yeah, I think it's much bigger. But again, Web Summit is just so nicely placed in the center. You've got the metro, you've got transportation, you've got Ubers, you've got Carwas, you've got it all in. And where it is, there's lots of hotels around that area. It really is so nicely done. And it sounds like I'm a big fan of Qatar. Yes, I am.
You've been there 17 years.
I am,
Surely you must be.
but I just think that, as I said, they had problems with getting people into venues the year before, but then they just work it out. They don't sit back. They always find a solution.
Hmm. Hmm. Fair enough.
But again, it's for your business. You've got to judge which is going to be best for you for multiple reasons. One size doesn't fit all. It just doesn't.
Right.
It's not
Right.
possible, and you've
Yep.
got to see what fits you.
Percent. Well, Steve, thank you very much for your time.
It's wonderful. I can't wait to see you again. I hope it's going to be in person in Hong Kong one day, because it's been a long time since I've been there, but it would be wonderful to see you and keep up your great work. And I know that we're going to do a podcast on my platform because there's so many different, I've got all these different Zeroth AI, the automated
Oh, you've
text
got lots of
large
notes.
ChatGPT. Why are
Right.
people not adopting AI? Should people get when should people get started? When should we all be getting involved in this? And are the big companies going to dominate AI? Those are the questions I'm going to ask you next time.
Fantastic. I should probably get prepared.
Well, I think you're prepared. You are an exceptional person, and I really love your style. It fits in so well with mine, and I hope we could do some real big things in the future.
Looking forward to it.
Nice one. Thank you so much indeed.